Hello and welcome to Broadening Your Horizons. Today I want to talk about the truth movement. Not sure whether this is going to be the topic or the title of this video yet, but you obviously know more than I do. And basically, I'm involved or know a lot about the truth movement. And basically, I wanted to do a little bit of a discussion with the microphone just out loud about the truth movement, my thoughts, my feelings, and it's precisely that, my thoughts and my feelings. So if you disagree, it'd be brilliant to get your opinion. But I'm not presenting a whole lot of facts here. It's just my opinion on our whole philosophy on approaching how we look at truth and look at how we approach things in life. Now, from a philosophical background, just realizing that as humans in our day-to-day lives, we aren't ever right in things. We aren't ever correct in everything that we say, do, or even we imagine. We believe that some things we imagine things and actually they're true and whatnot. But so where we see the truth movement kind of came about as being a movement for either change from the 9/11 terrorist attacks, where a lot of people thought, and including me, still think that the 9/11 aeroplane attacks on the World Trade Center was completely and utterly fabricated from the inside out, and the official story just doesn't hold up to any form of scrutiny. Now the US government has not made they have officially made an official inquiry, but not to the level and to the extent that many people wish there to have been. And it is quite amazing how quickly people's opinions have changed in the last, 13 years, 12, 13 years, I can't remember now. And people's opinions have changed from believing the official story to being skeptical to now, I think more than 50% of the Americans believe that the official story doesn't hold up to be completely and utterly true. In one sense or another, whether they believe in the conspiracy or not is another story. But I think it was over 50%. I'm not sure on the facts. Like I said, I'm not presenting facts here. So the philosophy with truth is that we don't really have the entirety of answers within one person, but as a collective we hold some sort of educated guess, would you say? If you watch any kind of entertainment quiz shows on television, you'll quite quickly see that when you get more people together, they actually tend to know a lot more together as a group than if you just got one person, depending on obviously who you get, but on average, people who tend to coalesce together can think about things more rationally or better than anything. And people tend to work better as teams than individuals, but as individuals, because we do have to work as individuals, and we aren't just this collective group all the time. We have to process information individually, and that has many implications in terms of understanding what is true and what is not. And not only being true to oneself in approaching various problems in our lives, and just the whole concept of growing up from birth to death. We have this whole change within the psyche of man, the body of man, and we never truly understand the whole knowledge of the world. I mean, many people are born and die, and they don't think about philosophy, for instance. They may think it to one extent or another, but they don't dive into the subject as a whole. And that's quite interesting if you want to take a point that this truth movement, people are questioning, but to what extent? To what extent is each individual questioning the world? And I think that's what truth movement is about, in terms of, it's not just about conspiracies, it's not just about corruption, it's about questioning everything, and just bringing about an understanding of that. If you look at history, certainly British and in kind of empire of Britain, the fact that we're all mind controlled into this idea that we shouldn't question authority, and authority is there to help us, and we should look up to authority. And this is where we still have in Britain a monarchy, and many people in the UK look up to the monarchy as this fantastic operation that we should pay our taxes to, and we should pay somebody to live in a great palace. But although that side is very much involved in the conspiracy and understanding truth, because truth extends far beyond just the world we see today. Much of the truth actually revolves around history and understanding, okay, from at what point, how did we arrive at this point, and at what point did we start to believe or believe in the idea of authority? Even the concept of government and money is a conspiracy, in the fact that, well, it's certainly being used to control and enslave humanity in many ways, more than what it should be. And I think when the truth movement actually set up, it's been around for many years. I mean, there's always been conspiracies, but I feel as though now, although the truth movement really started from trying to understand the right information of 9/11, and there was probably elements of a kind of a truth movement before 9/11, there were certainly understandings of conspiracies. I mean, people knew about things like the Bilderberg Group and things like that, but now that we've passed that and we've had a lot longer time, I'm saying we as in there's a collective of people who are researching this pretty much on a daily basis, on various levels. I mean, and people try to understand this world on different levels of trying to incorporate that into their own lives. So, from one aspect, me personally, I'm constantly trying to understand the legal system of the UK and actually the Americas and things like that, to understand how it's being used as a complete and utter lie, and how we think that we actually have to lawfully abide by many of these laws, when actually it's just legislation or statute we don't need to abide by. that's drawn by consent. That consent, unless given by us in one form or another, we can't or shouldn't abide by that legislation. And there's other conspiracies or ideas that when you look into the birth certificate when one is born, I said I wouldn't pitch facts, but this is kind of a fact. But when you were born with a birth certificate. Birth certificate at the bottom has a certain serial number or barcode number, and that number relates to a stock exchange number. Certainly in America, I've not looked this up in the UK, but that stock, you are classed as stock because that name is relating to you. I mean, just anybody thinks of the legalities of having Mr. and Master and Miss and Mrs. and all these, I don't know what you call them, but little short pieces, titles before your name. All these are control mechanisms, legalities of making someone kind of believe that they're in a state of authority or they are authority. And it's this whole concept of calling someone sir or madam. It's not a matter of respect, saying, oh yes sir. That's all come from somebody saying that we have authority. But ultimately the authority lies not with the organisations, it lies with people. Everything resolves down with people at a fundamental level, whichever way you look at it. Even government is people doing good and bad things. Not to say government is all bad, but it certainly isn't all good. And it probably does, I would say at least 90% bad and 10% good. It's the same with every organisation that's big industry, and that's why this kind of conspiracy resides to corporations and the fact that we have corporations out there pretty much acting under the legalities of a person as a single entity, and they have the rights of a person, but they cannot be prosecuted as a person. Which is kind of strange, is that you can't imprison a corporation, and yet they have the rights as a person. They have the same fundamental freedoms and rights as a person. So, and that whole concept of that word, legalese word of person, actually holds some background as a legalese term. I mean, I am not a person. I mean, you call people by saying you're a person. However, I am me. I am human. But I'm not necessarily a person. A person is a legalese term. And you will see it in many, kind of legislative documents and acts and things like that. But moving on from government and corporations and things like that, truth movement really does extend beyond the fabrics of our system. And I kind of got this into this truth movement by looking at the Zeitgeist movement. For first Zeitgeist film looked into the 9/11 truth and looked into all that. Although it's probably not the best documentary, it really does. It awakened me, certainly, in many respects, about the idea that nothing's quite what it seems. And I think what truth movement really does advocate, and what is really great about it, is that we just keep things to their fundamental level. We just say, right, okay, everything that you see isn't real or isn't there in its true form. And when you realise that, I mean, for instance, if you look at say most fundamental thing, a tree. If you what humanity is saying or the system is saying, many people are saying is that tree is just a tree, and it breathes through its leaves, and and that's it. It doesn't deconstruct that tree into its fundamental, small, microscopic tools and instruments that it has within the tree, and structures and cycles and everything that you need to know about a tree. What the system does, it just says, here is a tree, look at it and experience it, but it doesn't break it down. And people may say, well, what do I need to learn about this tree? Why do I need to learn about the system? Why do I need to learn about me, my life, and the system around me? Well, if you don't know about the tree, and all government is telling you that there is just this one tree, well, you might want to know that there are many different trees, and there are actually many different types of trees, and there's not just this one tree that you need to know. Like there's different types of system, there's different types of government, there's all these different types, but the one fundamental idea and this ideology that we should live in this fantastic utopian democracy, and this transcending out into the world that we should have democracy for all, and this one model of system works for every single person, and ultimately what the Zeitgeist movement really advocated in the end. And it took me a while to understand it. It took me a while to really dive deep into this philosophy of what is the ultimate and optimized state of humanity, what is the ultimate and optimized state of a way that we create our environment, our system, our perspective on life. And they kind of, through the works of the Venus Project and Jacques Fresco, advocated this one world system of a resource-based economy. But essentially, in my opinion, this was just one system. And no one system, in my opinion, fits everywhere in the world. Obviously, we're going to have fundamental principles in our systems. Every system is going to have it. And I don't think in some ways we have that. We have that system at the moment, or optimized state or level that we should. But ultimately, I think we should, in many respects, we should have a state where we can say these are the laws that we need to operate under. And if we break out from them laws, then everything will be chaos. And we see chaos now. And you can go into this argument, well, nature is chaos. We see conflicts with everyone and everything like that. And I'll agree to you with a certain extent, but when you understand the conspiratorial side of it, well, when we go into a deeper level and we understand that, hang on a minute, just look into that and understand that everything that you see is being put there to control you. And that's that fundamental principle. Everything's being put there to control you. So what is the ultimate state, or what is the ultimate system that we need to be operating under? And I don't think there is this one system. That is an arbitrary argument. An argument that's kind of been put there in your mind that there should be one ultimate system being put in place. Where do ideas come from? Did the idea come from your own psychological or rational thinking? I don't think so. I think that idea came from the people who want to control you. And the people who want to control you want this one world or one government system. And that government system is in control. And that ultimately what everything is aiming at, this one government system, one monetary system. And, we already have things like the World Bank, the IMF, the UN operating under these. I mean, you can go into the conspiracy behind that, how that is set up, who set it up, and name names and everything like that. But where that gets you, it gets you to a deeper understanding, and I think that's essential if you want that, if you need that reassurance. And for me, I did, because to me, understanding that aspect really delved deep into an aspect that I can talk about this like free flow more than any other subject, I think. And that's why I wanted to talk about it now, is because I've got no notes at the moment. I'm just really free flowing the information out there from the top of my head. But now the truth movement extends to making oneself better, making oneself an optimized state of interacting with people, getting people aware, using certain tools to enhance your ability, maybe that we shouldn't be using. So for instance, I use Facebook, but I try and use it in a way that's productive, in a way that I'm balancing the use of Facebook, although I do kind of argue with myself that I'm using it too much. And ultimately, everything should be a balance. And the truth movement has kind of advocating that we should all live in this balance. And what are the principles? And it extends to our reality and understanding who we are, why we're here, and what we're meant to do. And through that, it extends through history, ancient history, understanding the history of our past. And certain elements of the truth movement, I mean, then we get into grey areas, and I don't mean that lightly, of UFOs and aliens, and free energy technologies. And this is an area which isn't tangibly provable. There's no kind of official document, or this is an area where it isn't really agreed upon a whole great deal. And it's quite hard to determine not necessarily the facts, because there are quite a few facts on UFOs and aliens out there. And that's what's quite interesting. There's a huge amount of testimonies and evidence out there on UFOs, but it just gets pushed around like it's some kind of comedy. I think understanding the criticisms of conspiracy movements, to people's approaches to truth and to facts. People don't want to accept this truth because it has so many implications upon their lives. So they can do what any person going under a transformation can. They laugh at it, and it's a way of acceptance. And then the next stage is ultimately anger. And once everyone's gone through anger, they'll go through a stage of depression. Now, this is going to be actually our most vulnerable, and not everybody will go through it. It won't be this mad worldwide depression, but it will be a depression in a way that we won't really understand, or we won't really be able to tangibly prove it. Very much like anger. I mean, we have quite a lot of anger now with the I hate to call it this, but the Arab Spring. Because the Arab Spring was, of course, fabricated from the very beginning and still is fabricated. Not to say that there are some well-honest people who actually want change and things like that in the Arab Spring, but so we go through this anger and depression. Then ultimately, there's probably other steps in between. I can't think off the top of my head, but then ultimately there is this worldwide acceptance that not only we live under a conspiracy and that everything is corrupt to not say the core, but it's extremely corrupt, and we need change. And that's what Truth Movement is about. It's about change. It's about making people aware that we need this and helping them through. The Truth Movement is some kind of therapy in some ways. It's a kind of therapist, but collectively to feel that we are not alone. Because I'm sure there's many people who've just got extremely depressed over this invasion. I certainly have it. Sometimes I've shed a tear thinking, Jesus, what is humanity going through? And I think that a few people who've committed suicide, obviously, and it's a very, very disheartening thing to go out under, is this kind of anger, depression, of just understanding the truth of this world. And we're not, I think collectively we do have some valid arguments, and maybe individually we are wronging in certain circumstances, and that's where it really does lie upon your own personal judgment and your own personal circumstances to understand the information at hand. So you need to look into aspects that you wouldn't have been able to contemplate before. You wouldn't be able to conceive of before because you've been locked into this mind control aspect of society. And I probably will do a video actually just on mind control itself, because that's very interesting in the different aspects that of mind control. But it's quite a vast subject, and maybe not one for a free flow discussion like this. But I think I'll leave it for now. I've got many other things to talk about. I'm not very well versed in talking about the Middle East conflict, but it's just a brief overview on the Truth Movement and conspiracies and just my approach to information in general. I hope this has been insightful. So please subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.